Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. Also, greetings to those who are not family but are listening to On the Wake Up Radio. Greetings to friends and greetings to enemies. I am DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. More important than that, you can check us out at otwtube.com. That's otwtube.com, which is a free speech platform. Let me greet the people that I see in the chat so far. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Brother Elijah. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Goodfellas DMB. Straight Black Pride BB48 to Eshu Ogun. And BB40, the brother you got ripped off. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I know most of you are here to see and hear Brother Genie. You're also here because we had a historic event occur yesterday, and it could have been even more historic, not in a good way. Brother, you got ripped off. Forgot to remind me to load the banners. And so when things happen, people need answers. And the brother we're going to bring on tonight has actually given the answers before the thing happened. And how we're going to do this, pretty much, we're going to do about an hour and a half of questions from myself. And then we will take questions from the audience. And basically, I'll let people know, if you want to be guaranteed of your question being answered, put something in the collection bucket. You know, that's the super chat. Put something in the super chat, and we'll be sure to answer all of those. You don't put a donation in the super chat, we'll still try to answer it, but there's no guarantee. Yeah, it's up to y'all whether or not y'all want background music. If not, I can just forsake it. And so, as we know, yesterday, an attempt was made on former president and probably future president, if he can make it that far, Mr. Trump, at a rally in Pennsylvania. I was not home at the time I received the message. Actually, while I was walking to my door. So I'm trying to think. Have I? Yeah, actually I have, but I was very young. I have seen something like this before. The attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan, but I was so young to barely even comprehend that. So while this may not be unprecedented, it is as close to unprecedented in my lifetime as things get. I don't remember anything like that in the last 40 years. So I see we got some more people coming in. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Brother Crow. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Brother Kevin, and Straight Black Pride to Brother Tony. So what I am going to do, just as a reminder, before I bring the brother on, I'm going to show the video of the attempted assassination, just as a reminder of what took place. So, and also before they Straight Black Pride assist Vanessa. So very quickly, let's just look at the video of what took place for those that didn't see it.
No, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair.
Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready.
Are you ready?
Down. Down.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're good to move.
Clear.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down. My shoes.
Watch out.
Wait.
So, yeah, we're a little more than 24 hours from that event. And I just want to say real quick, then I bring the brother on. From my perspective, Americans are extremely lucky, and Black people are extremely lucky, because the rage that would have been felt if this man was assassinated, we can't comprehend. And to be honest, a lot of lashing out would have been done regardless of who would have been blamed, and we would have had a problem on our hands. That's my analysis. I'm gonna ask Brother Genie what he thinks. So I am going to see if the brother is ready. Brother Genie, you ready? Give me a thumbs up. All right, and we're gonna bring our brother on right now and get his analysis of the situation. All right, brothers and sisters. And our brother Ayo Kimathi, aka the Irritated Genie, to the stage. Brother Genie, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clearly, brother.
All right. Now, I do have to tell the people this. You told myself, you told other people I know. I don't even remember. It's been at least a month, probably 2 months. It may have been longer than that. I'm not sure. You said they're gonna have to kill this man. And we discussed, because we discuss things often. And I was like, okay, why? And then you told us. And so explain to the people who have not, because I know there's plenty of people, they haven't been able to see you. They haven't followed along with what the work you've been doing. Explain to them, like you explained to me, why you felt that months ago before it even happened.
Sure. So it's going to sound funny. I'm 50 years old, and I say that as an excuse, but it's also the truth. I don't have the same memory I used to have, and I don't know what to do to change it. I used to have you remember my memory, it was photographic almost. I can remember, I could just go off the cuff in the middle of the night and just randomly throw out things from 10 years ago and 4 years ago and 3 years ago and yesterday. I don't have that capacity anymore, but I can give a basic assessment of where I've been over the past couple of years and understanding where things are going. So first I want to say thank you for inviting me to the program. It's always an honor and a privilege to be here on the center. So this is basically what we got going on. And I think it's a perfect time to plug the book because it's coming. My last book that I did was Jews Are the Problem. And in that book, for those of you who got the book, outstanding book, pretty much everything that we're talking about now is in the book. And I did it because I knew that this was coming. And the second volume of the book, and then when we did the first volume, we said every so often we're going to do a new volume, and one of the chapters in each volume is going to show the progress that we've made since the last book and getting the word out about the Jewish problem and what we're going to do. It will sound extreme, but we're really facing a world extermination from the Jews. And right now they're in a total, they're closer to having complete control and power over the planet than they've ever been. This is something that they've dreamed about, they've worked towards, they've talked about for thousands of years. And they've been very consistent in trying to make it happen. They believe in themselves. And as perverse and wicked as their interests may be, nevertheless, they push to achieve what their goals and interests are. And right now, as we speak, they're actually very close to being successful. Here are the things that stand in their way of total world domination and conquest. We're talking about the Jews. One, Russia. It's a powerful country, even though Jews have tremendous power in Russia under the leadership of President Putin and the Russian Federation. They do not have the kind of power that they have had in the past. And they don't have the power to finish the job in terms of the extermination of the white race or a major collision with the white race fighting amongst itself, which would then allow it to become the most powerful group on the planet. So what they're pushing for is Russia to be in war with NATO. NATO means France, England, and most of all in the United States. A collective, organized, primarily white battle, blood battle, war, physical war between the white Western world and Russia. So basically get all the white folk to kill themselves. And I know a lot of my brothers and sisters out there are saying that doesn't make sense. Jews are white. Well, you and I know that, but that's not how they view it. They view themselves as Jews, and everybody else, including black, white, Asian, and everybody else, Hispanic, we're all goyim. They call us goyim. It means sheep or beasts to be led to slaughter, cattle. So honestly, I saw that and realized, okay, two things they need to destroy. They need to do. They need to make sure that they get the Second Amendment white Americans armed, trained, in battle, because they don't want to have to fight them because they can't beat them. Not here in America on these shores. They're promoting the invasion of America. But even with that mass invasion of America, they still have to address and deal with armed white citizen population, the most armed population of civilians on the planet. That's America. Well, they figure we can take care of two birds with one stone. If we get the Russian Empire, the Russian Federation, in war with NATO, which is the white Western world, then all the white folks will kill themselves and the Jews will be the most powerful ones on the planet. The Chinese will still be here, but they already have different means of dealing with the Chinese because they've married into the elite in China. And the Chinese don't have the same experience dealing with them as whites and even maybe some black people in America. So having said that, it became necessary. President Trump, he 100% bends over for the Jews. So he's a complete tool in the hand of the Jews. However, there's a huge but that to those of us looking at it from our vantage point, it may not be relevant. But to the Jews, it's extremely relevant because it makes all the difference as to why they do not want him in power. Number one, no matter how you say it or slice it, even to make the Jews happy, he would not intentionally try to destroy America, and particularly his own race, the white race. He just wouldn't do it. It's not something you could talk him into. That's just not something he would do. So they have a problem with him in that regard. He's not interested in a war with Russia. And every time he goes out publicly and says, hey, you know, if you saw the debate, he said, if it was up to me, the war with Russia and Ukraine would have never happened. He doesn't understand. He thinks he's saying something that the American public would appreciate. We would. He also thinks he's saying something that the Jews would appreciate. No. With what they're doing on the planet, with the death jab, people are starting to catch up to that now. With the attempted overthrow of the planet, with the mass genocide of the Palestinians, they're in what I call kill mode. We'll talk about that a little later. Don't let me forget to talk about that more later.
Yes,
they're
sir.
in kill mode. So being in kill mode, their objective is to totally destroy. So when he says, I would have never let this war happen, and if I got in office, this war would end the next day, he doesn't understand that ignites them. That would be the worst possible thing in the interest of Jews that can happen. With all the chaos that they've created, one, they would have to start all over again, and two, they have a lot of people who have identified them and are now ready to make them pay consequences for their problems they've caused. So he's saying it, thinking that it makes him look good, not realizing he's drawing the ire of the Jews who just shot him. Secondly, he has a whole platform called America First. Well, America First is the definition of nationalism. America is a nation. He's saying, I believe in America being up front, which means I'm not interested in globalism, which is another word for Jewish hegemony and domination. It's not globalism. It's the Jews taking over the planet. So he's going directly against the Jewish overthrow of the planet, even though that's not his objective. He bends over and bows to the Jews and give them everything they want, but he doesn't realize that's not sufficient. He literally would have to agree to their extermination of the planet, which he would not agree to. But he's not smart enough to know that, to be quite frank. He just doesn't understand what he's dealing with. So he's talking recklessly in his own, doing harm to his own situation, making the situation worse, while at the same time speaking out against their agenda and not knowing that he's doing that. So, and the last thing that I would say that's relevant, he has a good relationship with President Putin. So for all of these reasons and the Second Amendment Americans that the Jews are concerned about, they are not concerned about Donald Trump. He would do whatever they want him to do, except the war in Russia. But those Second Amendment white Americans will not comply with them. So they're not in the space they want to be in. Yes, they would have a yes man who kill Soleimani and do these things and make Jerusalem the capital of Israel, do all of the things that the Jews would want, except the things that they want most, which would be extermination of his people. He doesn't get that or understand it, which makes him a very dangerous figure because he has the power to defeat them, but he's madly in love with them and doesn't even understand how offensive his love for the people is to them and a danger it is. So he's just completely, totally in a confusion state. At any rate, they were trying to get him locked up and get him out of the way so they can continue to go forward with their agenda and objective, but he won't get out of the way. So he has become a nuisance. The Supreme Court voted against locking him up and then being able to lock him up because he was the president when these things happened. So that created a quagmire for him. And so I knew before, I said, they're not going to be able to convince people that he didn't win this election. He won the last election. It's no question he's going to win this election in terms of numbers, but he's still not going to get in office because they're not going to allow this because it would make them have to start all over again. And it would really put them in a harmful situation. At any rate, the bottom line was I knew they were going to try to kill him. That's the only option they have at this point because his rebelliousness, even though he bends over to their interests, doesn't matter. He doesn't do what they need him or desire. They don't even want him to do it because they don't trust him because he's a maverick. He'll make his own decisions. So it was, it was predictable. I told everybody that I talked to, like I tell you privately, I told a number of people, they're going to kill him. They're going to try. I said, it's not even a debate. And I think one of the good things we'll do in this conversation tonight Not only are they so predictable that I told people that they were going to try to kill him, I'll tell you what's going to happen from this point forward. It's so predictable and easy to see. I can tell everybody here tonight that's tuned in, and literally you'll be able to watch as things occur over the next 6 months and be like, wow, that's what the brother Genie said. It's so obvious and evident. Now, depending on how people resist and fight back, will make a difference in the decisions they're able to make, just like they intended to lock him up. They did not lock him up because they weren't going to lock him up. They didn't lock him up because they didn't anticipate the Supreme Court making the ruling that it's unlawful for him to be locked up, even though he was found guilty of these crimes. So they didn't anticipate that. That's the only reason they haven't locked him up. So I just want everybody to understand the first thing I'll say, and then I'll come to you. You might have questions. To be very clear, this is what I call a kill zone. When the Jews get in a kill zone, they start recklessly murdering without regard to sentiment. That's why you see the gangs and the mafias in America that's really been dangerous have been the Jewish mafias. The Italian mafia is dangerous, but they're laughable, and the Asian mafia compared to the Jewish mafia. The most vicious, murderous gang in this country, the Jewish mafia, they're the only ones that have murdered presidents. I mean, Abraham Lincoln was murdered by Jews. President Kennedy was murdered by Jews. His brother was murdered by Jews. The Jews murder presidents. They don't play. So the Jews tried to murder President Trump. It was predictable. I was able to tell people, and I can tell you, this is not their last attempt to murder him. And from my assessment, the reason that they weren't successful is they wanted to be as far away from this as possible. So they didn't hire a professional killer. I don't know how they got this guy, but whatever they did to convince him to do this, he wasn't a professional. They cleared the way through the Secret Service for him to get the attempt, but he wasn't a professional and it wasn't successful. So the next time, I think they'll just go ahead and stop playing games and make it very professional. Whether it's poisoning, whether it's another assassination attempt, whether it's some mix of the two, whether it's a heart attack, a stroke, the likelihood is just a straight murder. They want to make sure that they get him, and it's very likely to come. I don't think they'll stop trying to kill him. It could be as early as this week, before this convention, the Republican convention. They're definitely, in my estimation, going to make an attempt to kill him at the Republican convention. I have no doubt about that. Like, this is not something that has ended. This has just begun. And it's part of let me just put it in context. They went out and just all out start slaughtering the Palestinians. And no matter how many videos come out of the brutality and the murder of children and women that they're doing, nobody does anything. And that gives them reason to believe they can do whatever they want. Nobody's going to do anything. South Africa brought them to the ICJ. The ICJ didn't even say that it was genocide. They said it could be plausible, which I don't know what that means. So there were actions taken, but physically speaking, no one has challenged them physically other than Hamas so far. Hezbollah is beginning to do some things. The Islamic Jihad, the other groups in the East are starting to stand up, and a lot of things are happening that people are not talking about. In Yemen, they're beginning to do things. But in terms of going directly into Palestine and one-on-one confrontation with the Jews, no one's done that yet. But so that's given them the confidence that they can just kill lawlessly. So not only have they begun the slaughter and extermination of the Palestinians, but they murdered the president of Iran, just snatched him out the air and just murdered him. And now the Iranians, because they don't know exactly how it happened, they don't even know what to say. They won't accuse the Jews because they don't have the proof and evidence. And so that has given them the kind of confidence. I mean, they're just murdering people around the world. They went in, murdered 37 candidates. All of them weren't running for president, but nevertheless, they were running for office. 37 of them murdered. And then Claudia Sheinbaum. 1 out of 10,000 people in Mexico is a Jew. To put it into context, that's like not 5%, not 0.5%, but 0.05%. Meaning, again, 1 out of every 10,000 people is a Jew. There's no Jews in Mexico. And Mexicans, even if she was Mexican, do not put women in charge of anything. So it's a ridiculous premise. It's just Jews doing a massive overhaul and overthrow of the planet Earth. What we see in Kenya is the Jews pushing laws and bills in Kenya that made the young people say, that's it. We're not tolerating Ruto anymore. These Jews are outlandish. The Jews are starting a slave trade again. They're literally hiring Kenyan police officers to go in as a military force like slavery and slaughter the Haitians so that they can steal their iridium and other resources and gold in Haiti. I mean, we're talking about the kind of criminal behavior and activity that's, I don't even know the words to use for the type of criminality. The Jews are just in kill mode. So they're not happy that they attempted to kill President Trump and they failed. So with their personality, it's not about strategy. Sometimes what happens, we think from our minds about what we're seeing and what the next logical move would be made. Sometimes if you want to get a more accurate portrayal of what's coming, you have to know the nature of the creature you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a dog and it's going after a rabbit, you would say, what is this dog going to do? Or if you're dealing with a praying mantis who runs into a tarantula, you would say, what is the praying mantis going to do? Or how is this going to turn out? You have to know who is the instigator in the fight. If you know anything about praying mantises and tarantulas, in that fight, one or the other will kill each other. It's a pretty even fight. However, the instigator of the fight is always going to be the praying mantis. So you would be making the judgment, if you know that, based on the praying mantis and his interests. Is he hungry? Does he want this fight to kill him? Is that why he's doing this? Or did he just run across him and he's got food somewhere else? Like, you make your judgment based on the thinking of that creature. If you don't know the Jew and how he thinks, you can't actually make an assessment of what the Jew is going to do in this situation. In this situation, they're in kill mode. In kill mode, all they're going to do is kill. They're going to do everything they can do to kill this man. And they're going to have him on a Fidel Castro hit list. Between now and September, I would not doubt that there would be, even if some of them aren't caught, there would be at least 10 murder attempts on his life. And I might be undercounting it. They have no interest in having to continue to deal with President Trump. They would rather have to deal with the disorganized masses of the people with no leadership and no inspiration. He's an inspiration for the American people, not black, just the American people in general. The average American citizen who doesn't like what the Jews are doing, even if they don't know it's the Jews, he's a Jesus type figure of hope for them. Maybe Trump can save us. If they remove that, there is no hope. They have no other figure that they think can help them. That being the case, that's what the Jews want. They want people to be hopeless. So they're going to try to kill him. That's their objective and agenda. And I guess I'll let you talk. And as we ask more, I can tell people what to expect over the next 6 months.
Yes, sir. What I want you to get into quickly is, because you covered an extensive amount of ground. I want you to get into, for the people that haven't been following the channel, we've been covering this, but they haven't probably paid attention. Get into the Ukraine connection, the Ukraine-Russia war, and the connection between the Ukraine and Israel and the greater Jewish community. Because I know a lot of people aren't aware of that unless they really been tuned into what we've been doing.
Okay. So Ukraine, first of all, it's the president that was installed in 2014, excuse me, was installed by Victoria Nuland, who is a member of the presidential cabinet now. She was a member of President Obama's cabinet.
Right.
Obama's cabinet in 2014. She's the one that orchestrated the revolution in Ukraine to overthrow the duly elected president and install this. Well, there was a few people before him, but ultimately to put in place, in power, a flaming homophile Jew, Zelensky. I mean, this is a flaming transgender freak queer. Like, he's a straight up RuPaul of Ukraine. Like, anybody that knows anything about him. So, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So it was a Jew in America that installed them. What are they doing? They want to, first of all, they had the bioweapons labs from the US. They were located in Ukraine, which is why a lot of people believe that the spike protein was not finished in China, but really it was released and finished in Ukraine, because that's where they have multiple, I think it was between 20 and 40. I've heard different numbers, but between 25 and 40 bioweapons labs that the Russians found in Ukraine, funded by this country here, the Jews in America, funding the bioweapons labs in Ukraine. The objective was to release those bioweapons in Russia and pretty much attack the Russian genome and just start killing people through bioweapon warfare. Russia prevented that by this war, and part of what the Jews' overall plan is, they plan on expanding and or leaving Palestine. Either they're going to expand or leave, one way or the other, and go to what is a part of the breadbasket of the East, which, you know, Russia is one of the breadbaskets, and Ukraine provides a lot of the wheat for the world. It provides a lot of the food for that region as well. So there's a lot of farming and things of that nature in Ukraine, and they have a lot of wealth and resources in Ukraine. So what they want to do is they want to move and take Ukraine, which will put them right on the border of Russia. But in order to do that, they want to destroy Russia. So what this war in Ukraine is helping them do, by having a Jew in control of it, they intend to move as a mass group of people to Ukraine, which is not empty and barren like Israel. I mean, it has a lot of resources, particularly food. And they won't only have food for themselves, they'll control the food of a lot of different regions, including Africa. A lot of the wheat that goes to Africa comes from Ukraine. So if they move to Ukraine, the problem they would have the way Ukraine is now is the same thing they have in Palestine. Palestinians are there. And once they see how evil these Jews are, and the Jews start abusing them and taking their land and killing them and raping the children and all that kind of stuff, they're going to fight back. Well, the thing is, Ukrainians are much nastier and meaner than Palestinians. I've talked to Eastern Europeans. I've talked to Russians. I've talked to people from Hungary. I've talked to people from Austria. I didn't know this, but Ukrainians are known for being, they call it racist. For instance, if a Russian is in Ukraine, they say you're speaking that ugly dog language. Like they abuse Russians. Like it's crazy. They're like very, lack of a better term. We know racism is white against black, but we would call it racist. They're extremely racist people. They're not nice, but they're not that
xenophobic.
Yeah, you want to call it xenophobic. Yeah, they don't like other people, and they're mean-spirited. Like they're very mean-spirited. Yeah, xenophobic, and like they just hate people. They like mean. They're not smart though, so they don't understand what the Jews are doing right now. They're not that bright. But if they understood that this was a Jewish genocide of the Ukrainians so that the Jews can move in, and they're using Russians to kill the Ukrainians by creating this war, if they understood what was happening, the minute the Jews got in there, they would kill them. Like they would be much worse than Adolf Hitler. They're like a mean-spirited people. They would they wouldn't care what anybody in the world has to say about it. They would just start killing Jews. So what the Jews are saying is, if we're going to take Ukraine, let's get them wiped out first. Let's wipe out the Ukrainians. Well, how are you going to wipe out the Ukrainians without going to war with them? We'll make Russia go to war with them. Hence, we have a war. So they're literally wiping out the Ukrainians through the Russian-Ukraine war. That's why they say the Ukrainians don't have a chance. And they keep saying, oh, yes, they do. If you pay attention to what's happening in Ukraine, they're literally, like, you can look this up and you can see it. Like, it's crazy. They're driving around the streets of Ukraine, and any man they see standing on the street talking, they're kidnapping them, saying, you have to join the military, and forcing them to get joined in the military and get killed. They literally the Russians call it the meat grinder, because what's happening is they're just sending untrained Ukrainians out, and Russians don't have a choice. They have to defend themselves, and they just slaughtering them and just dumping the bodies. And the Russians are like, this meat grinder, I'm sick of doing this, because they don't want to kill the Ukrainians, but they don't have a choice. And so the Jews are literally just mass exterminating the Ukrainians, using the Russians as the proxy. And it's not that the Russians don't know, but the Russians don't have a choice. They have to defend themselves. So it's like, it's crazy, but nobody is talking. The conversation we're having here, I have heard no one in the world give this obvious, overt, easy to see, easy to document. You can go now online and see the verification of what I'm saying. It's easy to verify. This is exactly what's happening.
Now, I just thought about something. They just had NATO here in DC a few days ago. Now, maybe it's a coincidence, but do you think that the timing of this attack on Mr. Trump, pretty much as soon as the planes for the different NATO leaders took off, is that just a weird coincidence, or you think that was a plan?
I never crossed my mind until you just said it, but now that you said it, it absolutely coincides. Yeah, they sat down and said, okay, this is what needs to be done. He's got to go. They sat down and figured out, let me tell you the few things. Wow, that was great. That's great thought. I'm gonna steal that from you because I didn't think about that aspect of it. What I know they were discussing was happening in the Sahel with the three kings, Baba Goita in Mali, Baba Chiani in Niger, and Baba Traore, the young lion, in Burkina Faso. They've come together in one Africa and created the AES, which is a unified region where they're all operating as one nation, as one regional construct. So they're unifying all three nations together, their militaries and everything, working with the Russian Federation. That is a recipe for disaster for France, England, mostly France, and the Jews who are exploiting the resources of that region. So really it's the French, who are largely Jewish controlled, and the Jews. So the Jews are in America, the Jews are in England, the Jews are everywhere, but it's really a Jewish thing because this is where they get their money from. So they can't afford Africa to get itself free. And now we have three nation states that have shown us how to get your freedom. Like Dr. John Henry Clark always said, all we need is one example, and then we're very rhythmic people. We'll start following and making it happen. So the African World Revolution is happening right now. I knew that they were meeting to discuss that. They even said they were talking about that. I think Bill Gates was in attendance there, or he had some kind of conference he was in attendance at. I believe it was the NATO conference, but one of them, he was there and he was talking about, we got to watch what's happening over there in that NATO region. I mean, in the Sahel. So in one Africa. So the targeting of one Africa by the West is a major thing, but I didn't think about what you're saying. Yeah, Trump is a problem because Trump's positive relationship with President Putin and Putin's positive relationship with Africa becomes a disaster for the Jews. Here's what they're afraid of. I don't know how this will happen, but Trump is a maverick. He's the only one that actually could do it. If he snapped out of his stupidity and love for the Jews, I'm not saying he is stupid. I'm saying in loving the Jews who are trying to kill him, He's an idiot. He was out, and over the last few months, he was out there talking about we have to crush anti-Semitism. No one should be saying anything negative about Jews, not realizing they're about to kill you. And you're giving them license and a doorway to kill you because you're telling people, hey, after they shoot me and kill me, you can't say it was the Jews. Of course, he doesn't know that he's saying that, but it's like, dude, you're killing yourself. You're giving them a free kill pass. And he's just not smart enough to realize that. But with his relationship with Russia and him pulling, if he became president, he would pull out of NATO, pull out of the World Health Organization like he did, stop funding them. He would support Russia. And then because black people in this country, well, see, here's the thing. Our treason is so bad, we would have to have a voice. I would raise my voice. I would make sure that we were able to raise our voice. We would tell them we want those countries to be free. And what we'll do, we'll work out a relationship with those countries as long as America stays out of their business and supports their freedom, right to their freedom in those countries, and to partner whoever they want to. We'll work out the economic situation, which would give us a chance to be the intermediaries with our brothers and sisters and look out on their behalf in one Africa. We will be able to protect them as best we can and be the buffer between the West and them. And then the Jews will be in trouble because they would have no way to, they would be in trouble. They would be naked. And then, God forbid, with that relationship with President Trump and Putin and the Federation, if America starts saying we're going to partner with Russia, or at least have a positive, open relationship with Russia, and the exploitation begins to stop, not because he loves black people, but just because we have a partner relationship with Russia. They're doing BRICS. Trump wants a good deal, so Trump wants to work things out to make sure that America is strong. The Jews would start getting put to the side. But the only way any of this could possibly happen is if Trump made the decision Jews were the problem. There's no nice way around it. He would have to do that, which he's not going to do. That's his Achilles heel. He's not going to stop loving the people that's trying to kill him. So I hate to say this, but in the next 6 months, he's not going to make it. And he's not going to make it because it's not that I don't want him to make it. This is one time I actually want a white man to survive. I don't want this white man killed because there's no better option out there than Trump for that space, in this space and time, to stop the Jews in their direction for the draft, which, if you don't know, they've already passed in the House. They passed a bill saying that they can do the draft. Is it 16 to 25 or is it, what was the age?
I believe it was 18 to 25.
18 to 25.
And it also includes women.
Right. So, and it's an automatic draft. Like, you don't have to go and sign up. Once you become, it's either 16 or 18. I think you might be right. Maybe it's 18. Once you become 18, they automatically sign you up for the draft. And that's boys and girls. So they can snatch your children and take them up to this war, just like what the Jews are doing to the Ukrainians in Ukraine through the Russians slaughtering them. They intend to do to the American citizens. Take all your young people, snatch them up into the military, and send them to the meat grinder with Russia. That is the intent. It's not a debate. I'm telling you, I'm not arguing with people, but I'm arguing with not the people we're talking to here, but I can just hear people who don't get it, who want to be smart, trying to argue. And I'm kind of arguing with people who think they have an opinion. This is not an opinion. I'm telling you what I can see is obvious. It makes sense for people. Again, it's not being pro-Trump. It's just a chessboard. Like you said, or maybe it's a risk board. Really, it's risk. And in this moment, there's no beneficial reason to want to see anything negative happen to President Trump. If you're wise and you're black, it's just everything about it is bad. There's nothing good about it. I'm not saying he's your savior or my savior. I'm saying it is better that Trump be here and the Jews have this issue to deal with, even though he's a bend over for the Jew guy and will give them most of what they want. The fact they try to kill him will let you know he's not giving them everything they want, obviously. Which it will not happen, so I'm going to tell you it's not going to happen. But if he would wake up snap out of it and realize the same Jews that killed Kennedy and killed Lincoln want to kill you, and they're going to kill you if you let them. Unless he woke up magically and turned and faced them, he's going to get killed. And I don't want that to happen. But the thing is, he actually is in a position now, having survived an assassination attempt. If he wanted to, he could literally become the most powerful man on the planet. But he can't do it without fighting the Jews. Like, he can't even do it politically. It's not a political fight. He's fighting Bolsheviks. The only way to fight Bolsheviks at this point, with the power they have, is a direct war, because that's where his power is. He's dealing with a bunch of rednecks, a bunch of everyday white folks who really not going to understand all this politics. They ready to kick some butt. He got to know how to tap into that the right way and to deal with these Bolsheviks, and he doesn't know how to do that. He has the personality to do it, but not the intelligence or the sophistication or even the understanding. He's in love with the Jews that are trying to kill him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, when you said that, you just made me think of something. Let me greet Lord Vale and Sister Neff. Greetings to you all. And the people in the chat are saying it's 18 to 26 for the draft. Explain to people, because I said it earlier, but you tell me whether or not I'm right or wrong. Explain how bad it would have been for Black people in particular if Mr. Trump was not here today. If they hired a professional and got him out of here, how bad would it be for us today?
Okay, that's an excellent question. Oh, man. Okay, so right now, if they had murdered President Trump, and I know everybody's going to hear me, but you're not going to hear me because it's hard to fathom this. I get it. I've just seen it throughout history. Even though the murderer was white, it doesn't matter. First of all, we don't know what they would have told us if he didn't get killed and if it was a successful murder. We don't know what they would have told us, but they probably would have told us it was the same guy or whoever it was. But no matter who did it, he could be white as the driven snow. Just like Leo Frank raped and murdered Mary Fagan. He's Jew. It didn't matter. Who got lynched for the next 40 years? Black people. It doesn't really matter. And I know that doesn't seem like it makes sense. It doesn't, but it doesn't make sense. There's not anything that can change. Whites respond in America to the desire to hate and kill Black people. It's just part of the fundamental fabric of the United States of America, and Jews play on that very well. Whoever killed them, he would have never got shot if it wasn't for those Black you-know-whats that indicted him. And it's the Black community's fault, because look at all the crime and this, that, and the other, and none of this would be there if it wasn't for them. And then all of a sudden, it would have been white folks coming to kill Black people. There's no way around it. There's nothing we can do. They start playing Snoop Dogg when he did the video shooting Trump. And now all of a sudden that will be the premise to say that the young Black men are the problem with this gangsterism and gangster rap. They're just lawless. There's just no two ways around it. They'd have just started assaulting Black people. I don't know what the Jew would have told them, but it's too easy to convince white folks to do it. So I'm telling you for a fact, if they murdered Trump, it would have become Black people's fault. That's just how white folk do it. And that's how Jews do it in this country. The people would have got upset. There would have been people talking about Jews. And in order to curb that away from them talking about Jews, they'd have pointed them at Black people. The media would have started having all kind of news reports on Black crime. They would have started doing the worst Black crimes you can imagine: Black rapes, Black molestation, Black rape of white women, all kind of Black corruption in the legal system. They would have just started hitting over such slander against Black people. It would have justified in their mind white folks slaughter and killing and police assaults and all kind of war in the streets against Black people. It would have been horrible.
I've been trying to explain to people, but people don't really understand. Um, my next question is: you mentioned the Sahel, and you mentioned Kenya, and I guess about a quarter after I get to the super chats, because we do have some super chats that are in. Explain to people the Kenyan situation and how Mr. Rudo came over here. He met with Mr. Biden. He went back over there, tried to, push what they used to call austerity. Maybe they have a new word for it now. And the young people just said, you know what? No, thank you. Explain that whole situation to people and how that connects to the whole global situation.
Sure. So what's the white female? I'll be running out of their names now. What's the white female that actually wrote the bill? What's her name? The rich billionaire.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure who actually wrote it.
She's give me 1 second, man. I gotta remember. I can't. How can I forget her name? Somebody in the chat, tell us her name. I know, brother. You got ripped off. You know the white female I'm talking about. She's the one that the billionaire that's involved in Kenya now. She's oh man. So they had a bill in Kenya. It's an economic bill that basically said, man, it was horrible. One, it was going to make the people sharecroppers, meaning you could have owned your land for generations. It was going to now say you no longer own your land, you're leasing your land. So if they raise taxes or something of that nature, they can take your land. And you can't give your land off to your children and heir it to them. It now is up for grabs. And so rich people could just come and take your land pretty much. So, I mean, literally, he was turning the people in Kenya on their own land into sharecroppers. They had raised taxes on everything from women's sanitary pads to bread. They were making it impossible to live in Kenya. Like, it would have been impossible to live. They had a part of the bill. This is like, when I say this is going to have everybody sitting there saying, this is the worst thinkingest race traitor in the history of our race. I know that seems extreme for me to say. I want you to hear what this Mobutu bootlicking, severe Uncle Tom race trading scumbag Sambo. In the bill is saying that it is now illegal. You will get arrested if you have natural seeds and you're on one farm. And a lot of times what you do is you pick your seeds once you do your crop. These seeds have been passed down to you through your ancestors on the farms. And you give them to another farmer and they give you some seeds to grow some different stuff on your thing. It would be illegal to give those seeds. You can only buy GMO seeds now from the government. So it would be illegal to do natural farming. You must now only put things in the ground that prevents you from being able to naturally grow things. And once you put them in the ground, that soil no longer will produce natural seeds and bring them into fruit. This is real. Wow. Like, I couldn't make this stuff up. There's so many. Oh, go ahead. There's so many other things in the bill. Essentially, the bill was designed to strip Africa from us and give it to the Jews and prevent us from being able to feed ourselves, so that we would have to rely on the Jews to give us seeds in order to grow food. Meg Whitman. I'm sorry, Meg Whitman. Yes, Meg.
Yeah,
Whitman.
I was raise it. Wait a minute. Meg Whitman, the governor of Michigan?
No, that's you're talking about her name is her name is Whit something. She has a different name. That's not Meg Whitman. Meg Whitman is the billionaire.
Okay, because I was getting ready to say, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I was confused for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that explains it. Why the young people, and I just want to say, I am proud of what they are doing. Now, somebody said Gretchen Whitmer is okay. They're saying Gretchen Whitmer is the governor.
Okay. Yeah, Gretchen Whitmer is the governor, and then
Meg Whitman is the okay. All right. Yeah, getting Urugu mixed up here.
Yep.
So now I want to say I'm extremely proud of the Kenyan people and what they're doing, especially the young people. But to me, they have a fundamental problem, and you explain whether or not I'm wrong here. There's a quote from Brother Huey P. Newton a long time ago that says, any, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it directly, but it pretty much says, any unarmed people are slaves or subject to slavery at any time. And from my understanding, at least what I've seen, the Kenyan people are largely unarmed in this conflict with a man who's shown he's willing to unleash his police force on the people. In your estimation, would it be possible for, this is theoretically, the Sahel region to export revolution to a place like Kenya or other places in Africa? And is that what makes them such a big threat? Because having revolution where you are, yes, that's dangerous. The ability to export revolution, I think, makes them even more dangerous. How do you see that, brother?
I agree with that. I would say it becomes a matter of order of operations, because I didn't even see the angle that you're coming from, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. It would definitely be a threat, but I'm gonna say there's there's no but. Yes, the answer is yes. There's also some ands, and alternatively, and all these things can happen at the same time. But I'm just saying there are alternatives, either or, and they can all happen at once. So another option as well is, not only is that a threat that they can export it, but Kenya could choose to import it, meaning the young people could say, we're not tolerating that, which is happening organically. And then they can make the logical decision to say, well, you know what? We want what they have in the Sahel, good leadership. Let's go there, figure out how do we produce this good quality leadership, maintain it, and do what you're doing. And then that will be them importing it and something in the middle, which is really a reality, which is once Kenya sees what's happening, the logic is that they need to understand, if the troops from Kenya are being sent to Haiti, they're not being sent to Haiti just to kill the Haitians. They're being sent in preparation, just like the slave trade. Once you became a group of black people who went around and captured black people for the white folks, that became your job, your life. That's what you did for the rest of your life. So now your job is going to go and enslave our people. So if they're being used to train in Haiti, they're being trained to come and kill the brothers and sisters in Sahel. So they're not being trained for Haiti. That's just practice. So it will be wise for the brothers in the Sahel, our three kings. We have tremendous respect and love for them. We know that they operate with wisdom. We just want them to know this is international warfare here. They know that because they're showing us they're leading the way. We just want them to know there's no reason to hide the truth. They're coming for the Sahel. Not that they're gonna lose, but in helping them lose, we want to set the record straight. It would be a benefit for the brothers and sisters, the young ones in Kenya, to make the decision to get with the Sahel and say, how do we get what you got over here? And then have that exchange, because the Kenyans want it anyway. They want good leadership, and they have an example of it now with older people who've done it and have gotten their military part right. But now they need to figure out how to get that right and maintain order in Kenya, but get rid of the scum that they have there. And they got to get rid of them. There's no way to play with that. They got to get rid of them. They can't afford not to, because it's not only about Kenya. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not even thinking about Kenya now. What he wanted to do in Kenya is a genocidal thing that's beyond most of our understanding. To send troops, training them in Haiti in preparation for killing our brothers, three kings in the Sahel, is the most wicked, dismal, evil, disgusting race trading. He's the worst race trader in the history of the world, in my estimation, because we've never had something this internationally relevant while we're in the mode of African world revolution. He's trying to stop it and export international treason and racial Mobutuism. I've never seen anything like this. None of us have.
Yeah, brother. As you're saying it, I'm literally sitting here thinking like this would be the equivalent, and it wasn't. I don't even think it was even possible at the time, but this would be the equivalent of some white nation hiring the Lancados to go fight the Haitian Revolution. You know what I'm saying? It's just like something. It's something that they hadn't even thought of at the time, and now in the present time, they're like, you know what? If we had to did that then, we wouldn't have to deal with the Haitians now. So let's do it now, so we don't have to deal with them in the future. Like it to me, it's insane. Let me let people know you're watching the Center with our brother Irritated Genie. You can follow myself, DC Radical One, on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical _ONE. You can go to OTW2, where you'll probably have to find this whole interview after it gets taken down, at DC Radical One. And you can donate via Cash App at $DC Radical One. And you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. So I told the people I would get into the super chat. So I'm gonna get into the super chats real quick. And as brother, you got ripped off for saying, if you had not hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, because there's only a couple of places where you can find Brother Genie on the internet before he gets banned again. Y'all know how that is, because no one is going to talk like this and give you this type of information. So first up, we have a brother. I believe that's our brother from the UK. Says, love and respect to Brother Kimathi and the UDC Radical One. Straight black pride, straight black pride. Love and respect from the UK brother Jeff, who sent £5, which I think is even more than dollars. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. The Jughead One. Thank you, my brother.
And I actually he 2 times in the super chat. He says, correct analysis, Brother Kimathi. The other reasons the Khazarians want Trump deleted is because Trump vowed not to implement CBDCs in the US. And I had forgot all about that. And yeah, that's a move that they want to make internationally as well.
So he said again that they vowed not to do what?
You can put it back up. Said that Trump vowed not to implement central bank digital currencies in the US.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And okay, that was only part 1. He says as well, the demonic implementation of CBDCs in the US is essential to their globalist agenda. And he said that's Brother Jeff from Galaxy Radio and Sister Shanice Show. So shout out to our whole UK family. Shout out to
yes,
Brother Jeff. Shout out to Sister Shanice, because she's one of the other people who is unafraid to have brother on the platform. And we have.
Can I say something real quick? Just
yes, sir.
Quick. Real quick, I want to say we have people tuning in from on my. I'm streaming live to Rumble, so I want to let them know you can come out and check out a lot of the great programs here. It's called The Center on YouTube. It's called The Center, right? That's the name of it. The Center.
Yes, sir. The Center Live. Yes, sir.
The Center Live by DC Radical One.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Brother Kevin, he gave us $10 in super chat just to show support. And Brother Crow says, do you think the Mexicans in Mexico realize that the hats are in complete control of the Mexican government?
No. The reason I say no, the way they have Mexico, from my understanding and my assessment, the way they're operating, they don't have that kind of political sophistication. But let me tell you something. If the Mexicans actually found out that some Jew had overthrown their government and they understood what that meant, see, this is Mexico. They're not like America. If the Mexicans actually realized what it was, it wouldn't be 30 days before there'll be no Jews in Mexico. Like literally, there would be, they better leave Mexico. The Mexicans are not like other people. If they understood what was about to happen to their country, and that they were being set up like the way that Ukraine is being set up, if they understood what was about to happen in Mexico and who these Jews were, just the fact that they have a woman in power of Mexico, which is totally un-Mexican. I mean, that's just not what Mexicans do. There's no way that they would tolerate it. They just don't have a beginning of a clue where to start to understand it.
Oh, hold up, brother, you got ripped off. Said support brother Irritated Genie's One Africa project, and they can support you via Cashapp. What Cashapp can they use for that, brother?
$ Irritated Genie.
All right. Thank you, brother, for that. So I'm trying to going back to the NATO conference, what else did you see coming out of that besides what we discussed earlier as far as Ukraine? And what else did you see on the table, or is that just the major thing that they had to deal with? And then I do have one more question after that.
Okay. What I see is this is what they're facing. And you made an excellent point. Donald Trump is a problem too. This is weird. It's going to sound weird. They see the actual potential of an effective, lack of a better term, Gentile unification. There's primarily the major players. It's not like BRICS doesn't have multiple players in it, but the ones they would be most concerned about are white and black. And that would be Russia, Trump and the Second Amendment Americans, and the African continent. See, Trump, we don't know yet. We don't know what his position is going to be on the exploitation of Africa. We just don't know. When black people say we are against the U.S. for pushing this LGBT on our culture, it's against our culture, we're not going to tolerate it, we don't care what your opinion is, I don't know what Trump will say, depending on what he would say, particularly if we raise our voice here and say we are totally against this LGBT and you pushing it on Africa. Whatever their laws are there, those are their laws. Mind your business. Y'all kidnapped us and brought us here. We don't like that stuff. That's your thing. Keep it to yourself. If we stood up strong on it, I can tell you what he would say. Trump would be like, okay, fine. That ain't our issue anyway. That's Africa. We don't have anything to do with it. He would do it if it made sense politically. Like he would make that decision politically. But what they're concerned with is Russia is developing a great relationship with the African continent. Like you said, if the other African countries do what Dr. Clark said and what you just said, see the example of the Sahel and all begin to say, we're going to be free. We're sick of these race traders, and start wiping them out and then replacing them with good leadership. In 10 years' time, like literally everybody in the world will be trying to go to Africa. Africa will have to say, look, nah, we can't have all these folks coming over here. We want our people to come, but y'all got to slow down because it's a breadbasket waiting for opportunity, and our people are ready to do it. So the Jews, this thing is to prevent what literally is the verge of an African world revolution, but it won't be again, I know who I am. It's going to sound weird coming from me, but it's not exactly an anti-white revolution because it's anti-corruption and anti-exploitation. It's actually an anti-Jew world African revolution because Biggio is a Jew that's the one trying to steal all the iridium from Haiti. So, and Congo is Jews. So the Jew is in a lot of trouble if Africans develop the kind of relationship with Russia that we're developing and spread that through Africa and then connect with Africans in America. And then Trump, being who he is that wants to make the deal, they would get, it'll be a problem for the Jews. It'll be a problem. It'll be a crisis. Matter of fact, they're in a crisis situation, which is why they like shooting Trump. They're in a crisis, which is why they murdered the president of Iran. See, they're in a killer mode. They're murdering people now because they're like, if we don't stop this, everybody's going to look and say we don't have to be poor. And then everybody said, well, why are we still poor? Because you got the Jews running your economy. Like they're in a situation right now. It makes sense. I'm not saying they should have done it. I'm against it, but I understand why they tried to kill Trump. They're looking at the possibilities, and it goes everything we're talking about now goes directly against their aim and objective of the whites in America going to fight the Russians and getting the whites in NATO all to go fight the Russians and then white folk to kill themselves. Because if Russia gets strong enough and helps the African nations get strong enough, Russia no longer would have to fight the entire world by themselves. Now they're going to have, you know how we are as black folks. You see what South Africa did. It wasn't physical fighters, but when the PLO was here and Arafat was in Palestine, they were very supportive of our brothers and sisters in South Africa. That was decades ago. Arafat been gone years. But now that the Palestinians are facing this genocidal crisis, who stepped up and has not forgotten what the Palestinians did for us and took a position to help them? South Africa. Who supports the Democratic Party? Because after FDR, the Democrats were helping black people, and we've had a lot of racist Republican, quite frankly, let's be real about it, Reagan and Bush, and we had a lot of Nixon, and we've had a lot of racist Republican administrations that have been overtly hostile to black people. So we've kept our loyalty to the Democratic Party to our own detriment. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying we're very loyal people. If Russia helps African countries get strong enough, that enough countries get strong enough to push the corruption out, the West has a problem because you're not just fighting the Federation now. When black folks get on top of it, and these are the same folks that if Russia would lose, then the French would be able to come back into Africa and exploit us again. So African people would have to want to fight on the side of Russia. They would have no option. And they would. We would. I know we would, because that's the kind of people we are. We want our freedom. So this is a scenario that's happening internationally now. All of these parts are moving pieces. And our decision as African people here in America and worldwide makes a difference in the determination of which way things go. So we got to know what's going on. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother. I'm talking too much.
Nah. Go ahead, brother. The next thing I wanted to get into, because I think this just happened 2 or 3 days ago, get into the public decision by Burkina Faso to ban all types of homophilia. They said, it says, according to the article, they banned homosexuality and associated practices. So not just whatever, I don't even know what associated practices is. I guess if you walking kind of weird, they're like, nah, put that dude in jail. So I don't even know. But why do you think they made that decision at this time and publicly so everybody knows it?
All right. I'm going to go on a deep one. This one, I don't have any information to confirm this. I'm just telling you from my knowledge, research, and working with brothers and sisters on the continent and doing this work for decades. I'm just telling you my sentiment. As gay as the English have been in their rape and molestation of black people, as we evidenced in America, the most gayest, and of course we know the Jews are the epitome of the top tier of homophilia. But in terms of a national promotion of homophilia, the rape of boys, the molestation of our people, the promotion of homosexuality, the rape of men, I say from a national perspective, I think number one is France. There's no more faggotish group, homophilic group than the French. Like their homosexual escapades are, I mean, the stories, I won't even, one of the things in Baba Barudi's book, he talked about, I think Baba Layla Africa talked about the French part of their military reputation. This is their reputation in warfare. Their reputation is they rape the men first. I'm going to say it again. Not that they rape the men. Many of them do that. They rape the men first. They're very, very homophilic. Like Macron is a flaming homophile. I got videos of him that would make you throw up. He's a flaming homophile. Like, he's not a little bit gay. The president of France is a flaming queer. So
isn't he married to a hat as well?
He is, and they've been having this argument. I'm not making an argument. Wait a minute, is this him or the one in Canada? Which one is the one that they say his wife is a dude?
Oh, I hadn't heard. Well, no, you know what? I thought
Trudeau?
I did hear something. I thought it was Macron, but I can't. I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure.
Is Macron or Trudeau? I get them so mixed up because they both Frenchy type names, so they all gay to me. So they all gay to me. So, but one of the two, at any rate, I'm telling you, he's a flaming homophile. He's worse than Obama. You know, I mean, he's a flaming freak queer. He's like Zelensky.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Well, yeah. So the tradition of the French-speaking African nations, where the French control those regions, I'm talking Cameroon. Horrible. I'm talking about Burkina Faso. I'm talking about Mali. I'm talking Niger. I'm talking Ivory Coast. I'm talking Senegal. All of those regions where they speak French. The level of homophilia and the molestation of the boys is also true in the Portuguese nations like Cape Verde, and the Portuguese had Angola too. It's happening everywhere you have these Euros, but particularly French and Portuguese is horrible. But the French is off the chain. Because, of course, the Portuguese is just a bunch of Jews. The French are off the chain with it. So my point being, when these men are taking over, it's an unspoken thing. Those nations that had French rule have a quiet history and culture of men raping boys. And it is overlapped into black males raping young boys because they was molested as boys. So there's an unspoken culture of this stuff that's out of this world. But the strong men like we see taking over now are like, that's going to end. So nobody comes out and says, hey, this country has been facing the molestation and rape of our sons for generations. And it's a culture that we're going to wipe out. Nobody's going to talk that. Nobody wants to acknowledge that. But it comes out in, we're making it illegal, gay marriage. We're making homosexuality illegal. What they're saying is, you're going to take your hands off our boys. So it's a war against homosexuality, homophilia, and pedophilia. Homophilia, which is homosexuality and pedophilia. It's a war against homophilia, stated in political terms, that's going to end up as a ground war. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to have to end up, some of it's going to be black on black. These black homophiles are going to have to be dealt with, and they're going to be dealt with. So you're not just witnessing men taking over their countries and giving the resources back to the people. Now that they're not poor, nobody can come and pay their sons to bend over anymore. So it's a war against homophilia, but it's not being spoken. But now we're starting to hear that resonate. And as I put out my effeminization of the black male, and a brother did it with French subtitles, it's been going around the French-speaking African world. It's been going into France among black people and into French-speaking nations, and they've been watching it and sharing it. Once they get onto it and it catches like it's supposed to, they're going to wipe this out. So you're going to see a Haitian-like response to homophilia in nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. It's going to become a public thing where they're saying, we're eliminating this. No one will rape our daughters anymore, our sons. We're going to eliminate this French culture. It's just a matter of time before it happens.
Let's see. We got a couple more super chats. We got Brother Kevin says, what are the chances that the person who made the attempt to assassinate President Trump, that person was actually a hat?
Well, I can say this. People are saying they putting out the guy's name according to the stuff online. His mother and father are Jews. But this is the thing that make him a Jew. I don't know, and I'll say it this way. It doesn't matter if the actual shooter's a Jew. The agenda is Jews, and they'll use any proxy to do it. But according to videos online, I haven't been able to absolutely confirm it, but there's a BlackRock video where the guy who the FBI is saying is the shooter. Now, this is what they're saying. And I don't know if what the FBI is saying now, that they've publicly come out publicly and said this is the shooter. There's a Black Rock video with him in Black Rock, and they're doing some stuff in the classroom, and he's part of the Black Rock team. So I don't know if he's actually the guy that is actually the one that shot or not, and if there's a relation there, but he's in the Black Rock group, and that video has gotten out. So the answer of it, yeah, it's a Jew that did it. Whether or not the individual was a Jew or not, I can't say, but it was Jews that did it. No question about it.
Let me ask excuse me, a question real quick. You know how Mr. Trump is. He's a very interesting character. Like he will take in new information, but he's also insulated and isolated from as much much information as possible. If he got the information from someone, whether on the internet or whatever the case was, that the root of this conspiracy, whether you say Mossad or Israel or international Jews or whatever term you use, if he got that information, how do you think he would react? Other than one thing I know about him, he gonna tell everybody. That part I know. Like that, he's just that type of person. But what move do you think he would make?
All right, I'm gonna give you my opinion. If he saw it and believed it, it's two things he would do, either or. His initial instinct would be, he got this political fervor. He thinks he can out-politicize anything. He would try to say stuff like he did before when, I don't know if people know this, when Ye went to visit President Trump with Nick Fuentes, I had already sent Ye and Nick Fuentes my book. Nick Fuentes had already come out and shown my book. I'm not stupid. I know he showed the book. In my book, I talk about when we met with the White House and was going to help him get the election. So I don't know if he shared that with him or not, but I know I don't know, but it makes sense he would have showed him the book. They both had the book. So my sense is what he would do. And remember, when that happened, a few months later, he said, the Jews in America have been very disloyal to me.
Yeah, I remember that.
They've been very, you remember he said that?
Right.
All right. Hey, he didn't read the book, but he got familiar with, he saw a little bit. If he actually saw it and said, wow, it really is the Jews that are trying to kill me, just like they killed Robert F. Kennedy and Lincoln, he would try to get political with that kind of stuff. That wouldn't work, and it didn't do anything but turn up the speed at which they would try to kill him. Now, if he actually realized that they were determined to kill him and that there was nothing he could do to stop their interests, if he really realized that, then he would be the Trump that they would have a problem with. He would do what you're saying, come out straight. And he would start coming out and say, I hate to say this, it hurts my heart, and I'm going to lose a lot of friends because of this, but America has a Jewish problem, a Jewish power problem. And I'm not gonna sit down and watch this. And if he did that, I'm not even gonna lie. The kind of support he would get, the Negroes, the weak black people, would totally be against him and start calling him Hitler. The strong black people, particularly the men, would jump up and start standing on his behalf. So unfortunately it would create a collision, but we would win because the men would side with Trump. I keep it real. The men, the real strong, aggressive black men, we would side with Trump. And the ones who don't know, they would have to go up against us. They're not intellectually capable of fighting with us and jousting with us intellectually. So he would win the black men, which is more important because he would be in a real physical fight at that point. But with the whites, the kind of support he would get from the white men, the strong ones, the fighters, and the people that are aware of what's going on, it would be nuclear. But honestly, it's not even America. I tell you where he would get the most support. Russia, China, Japan, Brazil, the entire world would say, if America is going to do this and Trump's going to do it, they will be waiting for him to make the move and say, we got to do something about it. And once he makes his first move, the entire world, like Ireland, places like that, the Jews would be, they'd be in so much trouble. Again, this is stuff he would have to know how to do. I'm going to be honest. Let me just make it serious. He would have to hire me to sit there and give him the strategic outlay of how to do this. You can't fake this or try to pretend to do this. You have to know what you're doing. But literally, he would become, next to Jesus, he would be the most popular man in the history of the world. Like, it's all in his lane if he wanted to do it. But I'll be honest with you, he doesn't have to. This is not an easy one to do. You have to know too much stuff to do this and know how to maneuver this. But he's got the personality that he could succeed with it. The people love him too much. He could use the love that they have for him, and the people that know would be, he would bring, people would throw their lives for him for this. He just couldn't do what he did last time and halfway. He halfway, I'm not saying I agree with them going to the Capitol now. I'm not in that, but I'm saying they did it for him. He's supposed to pardon them before he goes out of office, and he didn't do it. That's weak. It shows disloyalty. It shows like nobody's going to fight for somebody that's going to leave you hanging like that. Again, I'm not taking sides on that one way or the other. I'm just saying that's how you look at the leadership. So he sold him out on that one. He suckered out. He would have to be ready to go all the way. I don't know if he's built like that.
Right. You have to do the old Clinton thing where he pardoned I don't know how many people on his way out the door. He's like, yeah, take care of this for me. Left it on the desk and kept on moving. And know what the thing about it, nobody even talks about it. You know, there's been decades. People don't even mention it. People have forgotten.
Yep.
All right, let me get to a couple of more super chats. We have our brother Jughead one again. He says, even though I am Pan-Africanist, I support Russia. It was Russia that supplied Menelik II of Ethiopia against the Italians in the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Now, I'm gonna say this: this brother put me on the information. Brother Genie, were you aware of that?
You didn't have to let everybody know about my ignorance, brother. No, I was not aware of that. Thank you very much. I was gonna slide through that and say something else to try to make it sound like I to people to believe that I knew that, but you just ended that there because I'm not gonna lie. Great information, brother. In conjunction with what the brother is saying, if we look at Cuba, if we look at the Angolan Revolution, it was the Russians and the Cubans that helped Angola. If we look at SWAPO, if we look at anti-colonialism, the fights against colonialism, if we look at Patrice Lumumba actually was trying to make an alliance with the Russians to not get killed. It was the Soviet Union, quite frankly, that helped Africa with colonialism. So again, I'm not like super like, this is very different for me. I'm going on history and the truth now. I'm not going on my socio-political reality. This is truth and warfare. The Russians politically and militarily have been friends to Black people, and they did not come in slavery. At the Berlin Conference, they went to the conference, but they did not come and invade, and nor did they participate in slavery. They weren't involved in slavery. They weren't involved in colonialism and imperialism, and they helped us fight. So, and honestly, even though we fought the physical battle on the ground in the Civil War to get our freedom, Russia was the ones that had the fleet of ships out on the shores of New York and California. They were doing it for their white brothers, but it benefited us tremendously because that's how we were able, part of what we were able to do to get that victory. So I don't know what a Black person would have to have an issue with Russia. It wouldn't even make sense to me. I have to appreciate because they've been helpful to us getting our own freedom. What else can I say about it but the truth? I agree with you, brother.
Brother, that what you just said, that is some hidden history as far as Russia being able to, in essence, blockade the European powers to allow America to settle their own situation. And the brother had a second half to that. He says it was Russia that put up the satellite system, Rascom, for Africa, paid for by Gaddafi. And he said it was weapons supplied to the freedom fighters as well. So, interestingly enough, no one ever talks about it that I really hear as far as the relationship between Russia and Africa and how positive the relationship is. But to me, it's very simple. In order to have freedom and sovereignty, you have to be able to feed yourself and defend yourself.
That's right.
And if you don't manufacture weapons, you have to get them from someone. And
That's right.
the people you're fighting aren't going to hand you their weapons while they're still alive. You know what I'm saying? When Charlton Heston said, you got to take it out of my cold dead hand, right? So if that's the case, and Russia has been one of the basically probably the leading nation, I would say, that's been willing to arm our people in liberation struggle.
They've helped Haiti too. I didn't mean cut you off, but they've helped. I didn't want to forget that they've been helpful to Haiti as well.
Right. So it makes sense for us to acknowledge that the positive contributions that they have made. And good brother Desaline, he just simply says, thank you, brother, for the work you are doing. Because people just have to understand the value you're giving to our people, brother, is tremendous. So if anybody has any more questions that they want to put in the super chat, now is the time. Again, this is the center. I am DC Radical One. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical_ONE, on OTW2 at DC Radical One. And you can donate to the show via Cashapp at $ DC Radical One. And you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Now, brother, real quick, because we haven't covered this because so much stuff happened this weekend. You and I was there. You had a rally, Save America rally on, what was that, the 29th, right? That was the 29th. Then you went to the JP conference on the 30th. And then now we had this situation occur. Explain to people who haven't been paying attention. Just give them a basic understanding of why you would attend something like the JP conference with Dr. Cynthia McKinney and Lucas Gage and some other people that people may not even be familiar with. Explain to them the concept of cooperative nationalism to those who probably have no idea, and if they saw it, they would be like, why is Brother Genie with these people? Who are these people? Why is he with them? I see a bunch of non-Black people. What is going on? Because I know some people have those questions, but they don't want to spend $2 to ask the question. I know that's what's going on. And before you answer, let me say, if you are interested in seeing the Save America rally, and also the chopping it up, just shoot me an email. We will be making those available for sale next week. Just shoot me an email with your interest, and I'll let you know pricing and the time of delivery and things like that. And also, we have in the chat where you can watch the JP conference for free. So, brother, explain the cooperative nationalism concept and how you came to that conclusion and what it's about.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Let me make it simple and short and sweet. When the Pizzagate came out, I knew we're going to have to work with these white folks because I was impressed with how hard they fought the pedophilia that came out. I thought it was all a bunch of pedophiles. I honestly did not expect that response. When I saw that, I said, okay, I knew it was Jewish sponsored, but it was just white to me. Once I saw them fighting back, I said, okay, the level that they're fighting back with what the Jews are doing internationally, we'll have to do something. But I was slow to move, but I started letting people know when they released the bioweapon, the Fauci, that's when I said, okay, it's time. Cooperative nationalism is going to become a real concept, a real construct. I got to move out and make it happen. And it's one of the most daunting tasks of my life because it's so far removed. Everything I do is with Black people. I don't have any desire to be around or talk to anybody that's not Black ever. I don't want to even see another person but a Black person. I just have this, I love Blackness. It's not even fake. Even Black people I don't like, I'd rather be in a place where there are Black people I don't like. Not all of them, but where there are Black people, I just stay away from the ones I don't like, and then I be around the ones I like. Or just be by myself, but in an area with Black people. I'm very comfortable with Black people. I had to come out of that shell and say, in order to win this thing and stop these Jews, we have to work with other people because of multitude of reasons. It's not that they're helping us. It's we all got to fight these Jews because these Jews are coming after all of us at the same time. And the threat that they're giving us is greater than any threat that they have in history. So it's just necessary. So I said, we need a concept that allows, because the people I bring with me are like me. They don't want to talk to anybody but a Black person. So how do I create something that they can stay the way they are, like I am? And the white folks we're going to have to work with, I don't want to work with no integration that's nice white folks. What they going to do for me? I don't want to integrate. I don't want them. I need the mean ones. We know mean white folks. We done dealt with them for 400 years at least. So I said, I got to work with them. They're the ones that are going to fight. So I said, we have to create a concept that allows the strong Asian, the strong Blacks, those of us that don't want, like we love our own selves, the strong Christian, the strong Muslim. I don't agree with none of those belief systems. I'm an African. I walk with Amen all the days of my life, but so what? This don't got nothing to do with my ego or my culture. This has to do with survival. It's war. So I said, create a concept that allows people to stay who they are and be proud and say it loud. We're not going to leave fighting because you say, I'm a national socialist. Good. You a fighting national socialist or a sucker? I'm a fighter. Good. Let's talk. We got a Jew problem. What are we going to do about it? So I said, I got to create a concept, and I created the concept, cooperative nationalism. Why? The word cooperative means we didn't even say alliance. We didn't call it the something alliance. Because that sounds like integration. No. Cooperative. I mean, we're going to cooperate in dealing with this problem. And then nationalism. Stay who you are. You ain't come and date my daughter. I don't want yours. This is about survival and dealing with a major threat. It's a nice term. Everybody that's heard it loves it. I haven't had anybody to push back on the concept because everybody just loves the construct. And I set out to do it. So long story short, we'll wrap it up, push forward. I've started out, I did the book, Jews Are the Problem. That was part of the whole reason for doing the book. Do something that can show that we need a construct to fight this and create the bridge to bring it together, showing that we're looking at the problem. So you got to identify the problem. And then over the last few years, since 2022, when I released the book, I've been running in and meeting and interviewing with Nazis, National Socialists, Middle Eastern people, all kinds of people. And so one of the guys, Middle Eastern guy, Converse, put the money together and said, look, we talked about doing a conference. He said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to do it. He said he was going to do it. I was like, we'll see. Everything he said he would do, he did. And he put the team together, and we put a great team together of people we thought should be there. We met somewhere where we didn't let people know the location. We got a strong team of people who've been fighting this issue for a long time together. Black, white, Middle Eastern. We didn't have Asians this time, but we will next time. And we had a conference where we talked about Jews being a problem. And it was extremely impactful. Like, it's resonating around the world right now. People are talking about it around the world. I'm not telling you what I think. I know.
To that point about around the world and the Asian world, quickly, brother, just get into the situation where suddenly we're looking at Japan. They're up in arms about the whole pandemic situation. suddenly, I was looking at, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was on regular TV. They were talking about the jab. They were talking about effects of the jab. They were talking about people that do autopsies finding these fibers in people. Why do you think all of a sudden that information is breaking and it's available, and pretty much everything that was considered conspiracy theory with the pandemic now is coming to light? And you see specifically Japan has just, I mean, they've been up in arms and infuriated with what's going on. Why is that coming to the forefront now?
Well, I'm gonna say a few things. One is because so many people are dying with this kind of thing. It's too many people that have been putting out the information since the very beginning. It's not as an overwhelming amount of people, but there's so many people that their voices aren't being totally muffled. Dr. Mikovits, Dr. Stella Emanuel, Dr. Alain Mohammed, you have Dr. Brian Artis, you have Dr. David Martin, you have Karen Kingston, you have Dr. Love, you have so many different people. But I'm going to be honest, Dr. Cynthia McKinney, of course, people have been putting out this information of what's going on, and a lot of the Asian doctors as well. So what's happening is so many people are dying now that in Japan, they're breaking through that veil of embarrassment that they failed for this and that they killed their own people. And now some of their leadership is feeling guilty. We didn't know we were killing our own people. And now they, the Japanese have this thing of honor. So right. I know it's killing the Japanese men who got fooled and pushed this, knowing that they were pushing genocide. They're no different than us. They believe the narrative of the world. Now they're waking up to the fact that the narrative was genocide, and they feel ashamed. And instead of killing themselves, they're apologizing and saying, we're going to do something about it. So that's one. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and give myself some credit. The 4-part DVD that we did, Fauci and the Gateway, particularly the Don't Take the Vaccine, where we put out who did it and what they did and how they did it and what it's designed to do. I know it got around the world because I gave it to somebody who put it out, and I saw the downloads, and it got out to people. This is a high level person. So the people who downloaded are high level, and they watched it and they shared it. So they know what's really going on. So I implanted it in the minds of people around the world, and you can't stop how this stuff travels. Now, everybody's not going to say it's the Jews that are doing it, but everybody knows because I put it in there. They can't escape it. So there's people that know they won't ever say that, but they'll say what's happening. And it's not just me. There are many people, but the work has been getting around. The information has been getting around because I've been getting it around. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm certain.
Yes, sir. And C. Diggs also said that RFK Jr., who people kind of forget that he came out very strong against the jab and made a point before he started moonwalking and backtracking. He just pointed out, he said, it appears that this affects Black people and white people the worst. And for some weird reason, it does not appear to affect the Ashkenazi Jewish community the same way. And he said he put that out publicly, and then next thing we know, he had to commune with Rabbi Shmuley. So
yeah, I shouldn't even say it, but let's just say this. I'm not exaggerating either. Nobody would ever mention me, but there's not very many people out there who, let's just say, haven't been reached out to, case in point, about these kind of things, see where they really want to play, how you want to play it. Here's what's really going on. What's up? What you want to do? And most of them are afraid, but they got the information. So let me just, if you can read between the lines, they know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying what I think. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking to the people.
Right.
I'm saying what I know. Go ahead, brother.
Nah, and I can back up what you're saying. No, I was getting ready to say, but of course, in Mr. Kennedy's case, certain threats mean more to him based on family experience than it would to the average person. So when I saw that, I'm just like, I'm not surprised. I can't blame them or whatever, because they to even make the statement and put it on the public record is huge. And now that we're talking about it, I think that's another reason why they don't. Because normally you would put somebody like that on stage, or they would put somebody like that on stage, and then ask them that to make them retract it publicly. But in this case, they just, they like, no, you can't come on stage. You can't come on at the what do you call it? The debates. Like, no, just go over there somewhere. You made your apology. Go sit down and be quiet. So, oh, hold up. I missed the last part of the Jughead One's super chat. He said in Angola and Namibia, Russia with help from Cuba that led to the release of the traitor Nelson Mandela. But that's another story. And Brother Crow says, he said, would you reach out to David Duke again?
Actually, we had Gahari had already asked me, if we wanted to get that done, and reluctantly, I was kind of like, yeah, but I don't think it'll probably happen, honestly, because at this point, it was unprecedented at that time, so it was very much well worth doing. But now, I don't know that I don't know if it has the same. I mean, I'm meeting with so many people who are talking about this now. We're doing conferences. I don't know that it has the same impact. I don't know that it would be a benefit. So I doubt that'll happen.
Right. And I had one more question, and I just lost my train of thought with that question. Oh, well, brother, do you want to make the announcement on the convention?
Yes, August 17th, we're having our 10th annual Straight Black Pride Movement convention, and the theme is the whirlwind, African World Revolution. So we saying the whirlwind. Baba Garvey told us it was coming. It's here. We're in the whirlwind. Don't even know it, but we're gonna make sure people know it that day. So it's the Straight Black Pride Movement convention, and it's really appropriate for a 10th year anniversary that whirlwind that Baba Garvey told us about is actually happening. And we know that the culture of the whirlwind is straight black pride, man, woman, child. Straight black pride, we now are saying, to define what it truly is, it is the culture of African people. Always has been, always will be. That is what straight black pride is. It's the name of our culture. Not only is it a movement, but it's just who we are by definition. And we're going to have our 10th anniversary. August 17th is going to be in Baltimore at Terra Cafe. Again, that's Terra Cafe, Terra Cafe. August 17th at 2 p.m. It's going to be free. So come on out and enjoy it. You're going to have the time of your life. It's going to be wonderful. And we're going to be talking about the African World Revolution. Dress to impress, look nice, come out. It's going to be hot, but that's okay. We're going to be outside and we're going to be cool because we're going to be cool with each other. It's going to be fantastic, marvelous. The food will be there. Terra Cafe with the food so you can get your food. They got vegetables, they got fish, they got chicken, they got oxtail, they got whatever you need. I think they got oxtails, I'm not sure, but they're gonna have the chef there, and we're gonna eat good, we're gonna talk good, we're gonna celebrate, we're gonna have some music, we're gonna enjoy ourselves, and we're gonna talk about the rise of African people in the 21st century live while it's occurring. You don't want to miss it.
Yes, sir. And for those who want to know, Terra Cafe is located at 101 East 25th Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21218. And we're going to work to see, for those who, if you can't make it, we're going to look to see if we can stream that and how that would occur. And we'll have information on that. We'll attempt to keep it free, but we may need some reimbursement for equipment. So we'll let you all know about that. Again, that's August 17th on Garvey Day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. at Terra Cafe, 101 East 25th Street, Baltimore, Maryland. That's the 10th annual Straight Black Pride Convention. So I'm gonna give the last call. Sister Vanessa we'll gather that information and send out an email. So, because I know myself personally, I'm not sure which hotels are available, but we'll try to get some information for you all. But Jeannie, do you have any information on that?
No, I would tell everybody I wouldn't stay at anything less than a 3-star hotel, and I would just put in Terra Cafe when we send out the address. And because we don't have any relationships at this time with any of the hotels, I would just put in the address and make sure you get a 3-star hotel at 3, 4, or 5, between 3 and 5-star hotel within a reasonable distance of that place. And then you can either Uber there. For most people, it'll be just a little short Uber drive because Baltimore City is not that big. So we'll give the address, and then we ask people to do that.
Sister Neff said that most of the hotels are located in downtown Baltimore. So I am going to give the last call for any super chats, for any last questions that anyone may have for the brother. And, first of all, brother, we thank you for coming and speaking on this, because there's been a lot of things said. There's a lot of people. Well, let me just say this. It's black people. It's not a lot of people. There are a lot of black people saying this is a false flag. This is a distraction. A distraction from what? I don't know. But, real quick. Yeah, speaking of this whole political thing, because we haven't talked about this. So the Republican convention is this week. But the Democratic situation, we know, is up in the air. And I personally believe that they set Mr. Biden on that stage without his usual preparation, we'll say, his vitamin shot that he normally gets when he appears publicly. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, because that's what I think happened. How you see that as far as the Democratic side, what they're trying to do? Because I have my own thoughts, but you go ahead from that.
They're trying to bring somebody else in there.
And give us an idea, because we've talked about this multiple times, but let the people know who are the people that you think. Because I just, for those that want to know, I literally just covered this the last show. So you can hear my thoughts on that. But Brother Genie, what are your thoughts?
Usually, I know, and I'm confident I say it with certainty. This one, I'm not sure. I will say this. If they whack Trump, then they would stick with Kamala Harris, the Indian married to some Jew pimp, some Indian whore with the Jew pimp. That's who they would stick with. But they didn't successfully whack him. So if they gotta actually put somebody up against them, probably Big Mike.
Now that's interesting, because we've gone back and forth on this for months now. For those that don't know who Big Mike is, Big Mike is Mr. Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, who he.
And I'm not saying that it's really a dude. I'm saying ever since I saw whatever is going on there, sit down with Dwayne Wade's son, who's dressed like a girl and did his hair like a girl in a dress and all that stuff, and encourage that behavior. Whatever that thing is, it's no black woman I've ever dealt with or been around. I have black women in my family, and it's to this moment, it creeps me out. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's not a black woman. I'll just say it that way. No black woman would sit before the world and then encourage a young 13-year-old boy to do that to himself. That's just not a black woman. So I don't know what's going on, but I go with Big Mike on that. Yeah.
And that's our affectionate nickname. And also, more than once, and unless people are doctoring video but more than once, Mr. Obama has just blurted out, "Yeah, me and Michael, so and so and so," and people looking around like, "Who? Michael? Who? Looking around like, who is he talking about?" So I don't. I'm not going to dip into the conspiracy food. I don't know what's going on there. As far as we know, that's Barack Hussein Obama and Michelle Obama, and those are their children. That's as far as we know. I'm just saying that he has on occasion had some type of weird Freudian slip, or people are doctoring video evidence, whichever one that may be.
Now,
So
I can say for sure those weren't doctor videos. He's referred to Mike multiple times. Now, why? I don't know. Sometimes people do some weird things in the bedroom. Maybe they call each other names, call your woman dude names. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but those weren't doctor videos. He's referred to her as Mike. I don't know. I'm not making an assessment. I can tell you he's a homophile, 100% certainty. I
right.
said that in 2008 before the election or any of that type of stuff. I've been telling people that from the beginning. I know what he is. That thing there, I don't know. I'm out of it.
Right. And you've lost friends, quote unquote, conscious friends over the whole Barack Obama situation. So we're not going to reiterate that. We're not going to rehash that in any way, shape, or form or fashion. So, brothers and sisters, I'm just going to say this. We thank Brother Genie for his work. I'm going to just be completely honest. And this is not just because I know the brother. This is the most dedicated Black man to the rise of Black people that I have seen. And the only other person in that same space that I have seen and met personally is Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I'm just being completely honest with y'all. I'm not sitting there saying this because, oh, you saying that because that's your homeboy and y'all both from DC, or no. This brother thinks about the rise of Black people every single day. Like if you call him on any day, even if he is at the grocery store, you're like, brother, sound like you at the grocery store. Yeah, brother, it's true. I am at the grocery store, but only because I need nutrition in order to be able to come up with a way for Black people to rise. Other than that, I would not actually even be in the grocery store, brother. See, if I had time to farm, then I wouldn't be here. But since I have to rise our people, that's the only reason why I'm here. I'm messing with the brother. Okay, bro. Oh, brother, you got ripped off. Did you have a comment? You said YouTube deleted your comment. Okay, I mean, this has been a whole incendiary broadcast. So more than likely everything's going to be deleted. Let's see. Witness Al Divine. They said, don't forget, he said he would give insight on what will happen in the coming months. Thank you. Because I was on the way to forgetting.
Okay. All right. So let me try to drop that quick. All right. So here's what's coming. More assassination attempts on Donald Trump. I don't know if they'll be successful or not. I don't have that kind of crystal ball. Discussions and media about wars and assaults on the Sahel. There's going to be all kind of negative propaganda waged against what's happening in the Sahel in one Africa, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. We're going to start hearing more and more stuff about that. You're going to see Kenya is going to make an example out of President Ruto. Like, we're going to all be like, whoa. The youth are going to repel the idea of negotiating and talking with the leadership, and they're going to resist that, and they're going to break free of it. And that's going to happen. On the home front here, Donald Trump is going to be forced he's going to be forced, due to the nature of the stuff that's happening, to address the Jewish situation. If he continues with, we got to fight anti-Semitism and anti-Semitism, right? If he continues with that, then the hats are going to feel like they have enough room. They're going to whack him. And it'll probably be very public to send a message to everybody and strip the hope from people, because he'll be giving them cover, because they'll be defending him. He will be defending what people would do for what they're going to do to him by telling people to love the Jews. So if he continues along the line of talking positive in relation to anti-Semitism, they're going to smack whack him. Like, it'll happen before September. If something happens and somebody gets in his ear and smacks him upside the head and makes him realize it's the Jews, dummy, and he wakes up and realizes, wow, Barr was a Jew. All the Cohen that turned against me was a Jew. Schiff and Schumer are Jews. If he starts looking around him, everybody's been attacking him. All of them are Jews. They all sold him out. If he realizes that, oh, the Jews are really against me. Yeah, they pretending like they with him because Shabbat Lubavitch is trying to help them because they wanted to show power over the Western Jews. But at the end of the day, it's Jews. They fighting their own battle. It don't have nothing to do with him. He now is in the way. There's no Jews to really help him. He can't trust any of them. If he wakes up and realizes, all my children have been married to him. Yeah, you married off to the people that want to kill you. If he realizes it and turns the corner, and we'll notice by September, it'll be one way or the other by September. By September, if something starts to change between now and September, you're going to see a rise in hostility towards Jewish hegemony in this country like nothing you've ever seen. And the only reason I have to say either or, this is not one that's predetermined. He'll either start pro-Jewing it up because the Jews shot him, and if he pro-Jews it up, they're going to whack him because they can, because he's giving them a free license to get rid of them. If he starts questioning the stuff that they're doing and starts taking a line against them, they're going to also turn up the pressure, but then it's going to change, because the people are going to rise and be like, if you do anything to Trump, people are going to start talking about the Jewish thing. Between now and September, what I'm saying is either going to be they're going to whack him, and the Jews are going to get stronger in America because he's told everybody you got to love the Jews, or he's going to go the opposite direction. If he goes the opposite direction, the intense level of animosity towards Jewish hegemony and this war across seas and everything, that's going to happen. And what you're going to see is it's going to be on the verge of literal all-out civil war. This is the piece that I can tell you, because what we're doing, because enough information is being put out, what's going to happen is if he doesn't make the curve, Donald Trump's going to get whacked. If he gets whacked, they'll probably just put Harris in, because really that's not Harris, it's Doug Emhoff, the Jew, and they'll have a Jew as the president.
Right.
So that would be the move to make if they whack him. They'll only do that if he keeps showing love for Jews. Then Doug Emhoff will come and say, what happened to Trump was horrible, blah, 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 whatever. That'll be the likely thing they'll do. Or they'll put another Jew in that's a Republican. And that Jew who gets in will be like Nikki Haley, a Nikki Haley Jew that will just do everything that they want to do, go to war with Russia. So if they whack him, that's the direction they're going. If Trump wise up and turn the corner, the whole thing's going to fall apart for the Jews. I don't see that happening, though, but I can't make the call because he does have the right to free will. The likely thing is he's going to continue to mouthpiece in favor of Jews, and they're going to whack him by September. He's going to whack him. And then they're going to run into a situation where people are demoralized, but also angry. And there's going to be enough anti-Jew sentiment out there, but he would have already blocked half of it. So it's going to be a trying time. What's going to happen is, I'm sorry, the country is going to start to be in a free fall. So let me tell you what happens. If they whack him and he's defending the Jews, what's going to happen is they're going to put whoever they want in, probably Kamala Harris, Nikki Haley or Kamala Harris, one of the two. just like they did in Mexico, put a woman in, they'll put in Kamala Harris or Nikki Haley. And then what they'll do between now and this time next year, you've never seen the amount of invasion in this country that they're going to bring. They're going to literally have tanks with people coming across the Mexican border. What I'm saying is the only thing they can stop this, is, I hate to say it, is Trump has to drop his I love the Jews and start taking a position against this Jewish hegemony. If he does that, then there's an alternative. If he doesn't do that, they're going to whack him. He gets whacked by September. And then after that, you're going to start seeing one of these women that they're going to put in control of the country. Either Big Mike, Big Mike, they're going to put up, if Trump starts fighting the hats, then they'll put Big Mike up against him because they want to steal it and give it to Big Mike because that'll leverage black people that won't fight against them. So those are the alternatives. It depends on what they do. So let me make it simple. If Trump takes a position against the Jews, everything changes. And they're going to run Big Mike against them because they need leverage because he's going to have the kind of power and influence that it's going to be hard to say that somebody else beat him. And he's going to be in a war mode. So they're going to need somebody that's believable to pull black people off of his side. And they would try to do that by getting black women on board with Big Mike. If he doesn't take a position against the hats, they don't need to do any of that. They're going to just go ahead and whack him if he defends hats and talks, or even if he stays neutral. They're just going to whack him by September, and then they're going to either put Kamala Harris in or Nikki Haley so that they can go to war with Russia. They're going to force this draft, force this war, and then over the next year, you're going to see literally the kind of invasion. I predict in 600 days, there will be 110 million illegal, unauthorized people in America. Right now, there's 40 million illegal immigrants. There'll be over 100 million by 600 days, which will be 2 years, almost 2 years. Yep.
So, brother, you got ripped off. He sent the message that apparently he couldn't get for whatever reason on YouTube or through YouTube. He said, who is more likely to use chemical or nuclear armaments in a WW3 scenario? And would that be a decision? Would that be a Jewish hegemonic decision to implement those type of weapons?
Yeah, it would be. And the Jews would do it. Yeah. Once it gets nuclear like that, remember, this is the Jews' objective. Kill everybody that's not Jews and leave a few people to be their slaves behind. So they want to mass exterminate the whites. So they're going to drop everything that they have on them and black people too. They're killing everybody. So yes, they would drop. It would be the Jews' decision to make those decisions. And yes, they would do it. They want a full-scale real war to wipe people out, which they did with the injections. They've got 34 million people that they have the numbers right now that have died, excess deaths, not how many people have died, but excess over the amount that you expect to die. 34 million excess deaths since 2021. So they've already committed a mass genocide worldwide, but they want a major cataclysmic mass genocide of the world population. So yeah, the Jews will do it.
Yeah, I would tell people, if you follow Died Suddenly on Instagram and I think Twitter as well, they have notifications of teenagers, people in their early 20s, athletes. I'm talking about people that you think would be totally healthy and they just randomly they're just not here anymore. They just killed over and they're gone just like that. So let's see. I got one super chat from Everything is Everything. They said Irritated Genie mentioned on a prior occasion how Dr. Cynthia McKinney told how every politician has to swear not to speak against Israel. So would that also include all presidents?
All presidents, the presidents on a whole nother level. The presidents is not just signing something, literally. You not even since maybe Clinton. Since Clinton, who came after Clinton? Bush? No, I'll say since Obama, there are no, okay, Obama was put in by the Jews. He was literally inserted. He was not a real political figure. He was the Jews in brown mulatto face. But Trump, like, he wasn't supposed to get in, but he was still put in by Chabad Lubavitch. The people and Chabad Lubavitch put him in, but that was an internal Jew war. The Western Jews fighting the Eastern Jews, and the Eastern Jews snuck in, got Trump in there, like, now our guys in there, we're running the show. That's just their own internal battle. At this point, nobody gets into office without the Jews' approval, which is why they're at the point now in the ego. It's not just do they get in without our approval. Even if they bow over to us, it doesn't matter. If we want somebody else, we're not going to put them in. So that's what Trump is. I'll bow to you. I'll give you everything you want, boss. So we don't want you. Get out of the way, boy. And Trump's like, no, I'm not going to do that. They're like, okay, that's why we're going to kill you. So that's what the Jews are with Trump. So the answer is yes, but it's more than just do you have to go through the Jews to get in. You're not even, they picking who they want and putting them in now. Like in Mexico, Sheinbaum is not no relevant person to be where she is. They just putting people where they want. Zelensky was just some random gump, salacious, flaming gay Jew punk. They just putting their Jews wherever they want them. So they'll put whoever's in there that they want. That's how they get there.
Right. So I think that has to be the last question, brother. If you got anything else you want to say to the people real quick before we close up?
No, just to let you know that we did our, thank you, brother. Brother, you got ripped off. We did our One Africa before when we were pushing. You remember we did our One Africa. We were on Facebook, if you remember, and we would do our lives and we were raising funds for our One Africa initiative. Well, in August, I'm going to be doing it again, and I'm going to be raising funds. And I'm going to be honest with you. And y'all know me. Y'all have seen, look, for people who've been following, I think it's, and you tell me, Conrad, because I don't want to overplay it. The things that I've raised funds for since we were doing that back in 2016 to now, in 10 years, have we seen outcome from those things that we raised funds for?
Yeah, yes, sir. We'd be in a much worse condition. I'll just put it that way. Just internationally, we'd be in a much worse condition.
And if we look, I'm going to just tell people to read between the lines. Just take a look at what's going on around you. When I say I'm going to do a fundraiser in August, it's Black August, I'm going to be asking for funds. I'm going to probably come back and ask the brother if I can do a program on here. And I can't tell you everything I'm going to do. I'm going to just tell you this. I'm really trying. I'm not going to say trying. I'm going to make that play. African World Revolution is happening right now. I just need your funding and support. And I want you to go in for March. I want you to go deep in your pockets. I'm not just talking. Just like what you're seeing now, I can't say what parts I've had impact on. I'll just say this. I've had an impact on something. You see African nations, more and more of them saying we're not with this LGBT stuff. You're going to start, just hear me out. You're going to start hearing African nations saying we cannot have any more of this Jewish exploitation in our country. I'm telling you, but I need your help. So I want to raise tens of thousands of dollars in August. I've never come out and tried to get a whole bunch of money. That ain't my thing. It's wartime now. I need a war chest. So I'm telling you, I'm coming, and I'm going to ask you to give graciously. I know we have family listening from Europe. I know we have family all around America. Thank God for y'all. Y'all have been my saving grace. We have brothers and sisters from the continent. We got people with resources. I'm going to ask you for the resources. I need them. But you already know what I'm going to do. Like, you already know what I do. And the ancestors are calling on me. It's that time. Let me just say this. I know I'm talking, but I remember y'all did this for me. It never happened to me before. It was October of 2018. And I was going through, y'all remember that if y'all were following that time, I was going through a lot of stuff. But the ancestors came to me and said, you got to go to East Africa. And I had no idea why. I had no idea what the reason was. I hope y'all listening to me. You remember the program I told you. I don't know why they calling me. I need $5,000. They gave me the number. They said, you need $5,000. And I asked you all for $5,000 when I was on Facebook at that time, Facebook Live, and y'all just sent it. I didn't have to beg or nothing because I don't like asking for money. Instantly, it was like, I only think it took a week. Y'all just started sending it, and I had the 5,000. And I didn't even know where I was going to go. I was on my way to sending the money back because I didn't know what I was supposed to be going for. I'm not going to take people's money for nothing. And then the video got sent to me. Honestly, it was Brothers Keeper who sent me the video. And I hadn't talked to them in a long time. And one of the brothers sent me a video and said, now we know what's going on over in Africa. And he didn't know that I had asked for this. We hadn't been talking. And it was a video where this white woman was bragging that they were about to legalize homosexuality in Kenya. And I instantly said, I got to buy my ticket to Kenya. And I bought a ticket to Kenya and then Uganda. And that's when I went there, talked to Dr. Mumbi. She got me an audience of the people. That's how we overturned them legalizing the homosexuality. I know a little bit more about what happened, but I won't share it all. But let me just say, I asked you, you gave, and we got a victory. So I appreciate you. Not that anything could be bigger than that, because when it happened, but my spirit is saying to me now, this is much bigger than that. I need money, and I'm going to ask you for money. And you're not going to have to ask me what happened. You're going to know. You're going to know what happened. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to know what happened. I'm ready to go all the way in for African liberation and people. All the way. And all the circumstances are right now. So it's August. It's coming. I'm going to ask you for it. We're going to do our thing August 17th. You're going to enjoy that. But I'm going to ask you for money that month. Because I got things I'm going to do. And you, like I said, you're not going to have to ask, where did the money go? You'll be able to see. And I ain't talking. I'm about it. So that's all I want to say, brother. Thank you for this opportunity to address the people.
Hey, brother, thank you. Because, you know, when I saw the situation, I said, okay, our people need to hear from you now, straight and to the point. And I'll tell the people now, the chances of this being up tomorrow are not very high. I'm going to download it tonight. More than likely, it'll go up on, because looks like I'm gonna have to put it in parts, but more than likely it'll go up on OTW2. You go to OTW2.com and I'll put it up there so that people can see it and y'all can spread it there. So I want to thank everybody that donated through the super chats, everybody who shared it with, you know, you liked it and you shared it and everything. Don't forget, if you haven't liked it and shared it, like and share. I saw people subscribing earlier. We appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, Twitter at dcradical_ONE. I told you about the OTW2, that's dcradical1. And you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. And again, we're going to make the Save America rally Brother Genie held. We're going to make that available once it's edited and everything. And the last Chopping It Up as well. We're going to make that available for purchase. And we'll let you know in the future via here on YouTube and Instagram. Because there are just certain things that if you put them up, they're going to be taken down. So why go through all that when you just give it directly to the people? So, brother,
can I say one quick thing?
Yes, sir.
I apologize, but I forgot to mention this. You know, I have a Jews Are the Problem program that streams live to Rumble, Odyssey, and Twitter every Wednesday. I'm going to do the last 3 for the month of July. And then in August, my spirit has been calling on me. I have an Irritated Genie page at Irritated Genie on Twitter. And I have an Irritated Genie page on Rumble. I'm going to start, I'm going to pause the Jews Are the Problem programs on Wednesday evenings. And for the month of August, I'm going to do, at least I'm going to start doing for the month of August, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do programs Wednesday night starting at 7 p.m. like we used to do it, but it's going to be Wednesday instead of Monday. And I'm going to do the whirlwind programs, African World Revolution. So I'm going to do the program, and I'm going to start doing that. The first program will be August. I'm sorry. I just want to get the right date. Wednesday, August 7th. Wednesday, August 7th will be the new program. And I'll do that at least for the month of August. Whirlwind, African World Revolution on the Irritated Genie pages at Irritated Genie, Twitter, Irritated Genie on Rumble. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yep, I was getting ready to bring that up, but you took care of it. So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Thank you all for contributing. Thank you all for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I am your brother, DC Radical 1. This is, of course, your brother, Ayo Kimathi, better known as the Irritated Genie. And with that, we say BB for ODA and straight black pride.
Straight black pride.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A big for ODA and straight black pride.